Welcome back to another episode of What Are You Made Of with your boy, the unstoppable Mike C-Roc. I'm in the house today with a friend of mine. I met on Clubhouse, which we've had a lot of guests from Clubhouse because it's been such an awesome connection tool. But Jaylissa Lea hosts a lot of rooms on Clubhouse. She hangs out in a lot of rooms that I visit, and we've had some great times and great conversations with tons of our friends in there. So I wanted to bring her on the show to share the ingredients that have gone into making her. I am intrigued about what she does and the style that she carries. It's pretty impressive, and I'll allow you guys to check her out on Instagram when we're finished, and you can see her expertise because it shines through, and also the type of person she is. And we're going to find out what has gone into making her who she is today. So Jaylissa Lea is the founder and CEO of Modern Luxury Lounge, a full branding and PR agency for entrepreneurs and business owners. Her goal and vision with this agency is to spotlight business owners with an impactful story and high value offerings so that we will fill the online space in actual substance rather than surface level glitz and glam from influencers and celebrities. I'm going to stop right there because I want to hear more about you from your own mouth, Jaylissa. But we always start the show. First of all, thanks for being here. But we always start the show with the question, what are you made of? So what are you made of, Jaylissa?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me and thanks for always supporting my room. I really, really appreciate it. What am I made of? That question is very interesting. I think I'm made of persistent perseverance and gratitude. That would be one of my biggest things.
I love it. So when we ask this question, it's like the first thing that pops to your head. And then there's things that cause you to say what you say. So let's dig a little deeper. Take us back to growing up, where you grew up, the family, or tell us some stories, man. Like what ingredients have gone into making you?
Yeah. So I grew up in a really wealthy family. They have a lot of assets in China and they just have a lot of say. So when I was born into this family, I had literally everything you could possibly think of. I was very envied. I was that kid that everyone looked up to. And overnight, that completely changed when my dad passed away when I was about 5 years old, and everything was taken away from me. And my grandparents kind of abandoned my mom and I. And so we had to relocate to United States and completely restart our whole life. And so I think that's why I said persistence and perseverance, because for me, it's always about not giving up. And gratitude is because through everything that I've gone through, I've always found the positive in every single situation, and just be grateful for even being alive or the smallest things, because I feel like being at the very high end and then at the very bottom and still being able to survive everything, I just find it to be very grateful, especially because my dad's passing. I feel like even being alive and having the opportunity to breathe in itself, it's already a happiness within itself.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that, man. And so how many children were in the family?
So like my father's side of the family, my grandparents had four kids. For me, I'm an only child.
Okay. And so you were 5 when your father passed away. And then how soon after that did you have to move to the United States?
It was like immediate because of how well known we were in that city, and it was very also looked down upon because Asian culture is completely different when you don't have a full family, especially when you are someone that is of a status and then you lost everything. It was just a lot of bullying was happening with my mom and I, and it was just very uncomfortable. So we had to relocate right away.
Yeah. And so even despite the fact that it was because of a death and not because of a divorce, you still looked down upon in that culture. Is that how it works?
Not only that, but it was my dad took his life due to like depression. There was a deal that he lost. So at the time, I don't know if it's any different because I haven't gone back in a really, really long time, about I'd say almost like 20 years. But at the time it was, psychology isn't a thing. Mental health is not a thing in Asian culture. So when he passed away, it was like a huge thing of like, oh, he's weak and he just didn't know how to deal with his own problem. So it was like very looked down upon.
Gotcha. And so at a 5 year, at like age 5, like I think back when I was 5, and I guess I kind of knew where our status was at 5, but like, did you really understand your status? Was that like really ingrained upon you, your status as far as a wealthy family and prestige and what have you? And
Yeah.
then, and like you realized when that was gone, like at that, I'm just like trying to figure out that age, or was it also as you got older, like with your mom and everything, she was filling you in on some stories as well that helped shape your viewpoint from the past.
No, we never really talked about it, but I just remembered. I mean, they've gone out of their way. My family, that side of the family, really goes out of their way to make sure people know that their existence matter. And so, when I was born, I was the firstborn, and I was literally covered in gold and had like the huge, like the biggest party ever. Just a lot of things were very granular. Like everything, every time we go out, it was like we shut down the restaurant or we only had managers serve us. So I remember just, when I go out with my family, that side of family versus when I go out alone or, with friends, it's like a whole complete different level. So for me, and they always reminded me like, you're so lucky. We're very privileged. We can only have these things because these are the things that we have. So they made sure that
Right.
I knew we're not just like anybody else.
Right. Gotcha. And so now, what is your view now, like of wealth or prestige? Or, I mean, I know you talk about luxury all the time too, so that matters to you, but like, what is your view? Are you trying to get back to a certain point? What's your target? Like, how's that all working itself out?
Yes, a super different dynamic because a lot of people always ask me, do you regret making certain decisions? And I don't, because I feel like everything that I've gone through it really set me up to having the business that I have today and doing what I'm doing, helping other people find their inner fulfillment. Because there's a point in my life where I just wanted to go back to that point of having the wealth, having the status, having people envy me again, because it was a good feeling, right? Knowing like you're at the top of the world. And
Mm-hmm.
then I went to New York. I was in the beauty and fashion industry working for a luxury brand, and I had everything that I ever wanted. I was 19 at the time, and I had, the cars, the homes, the bags, the Gucci, all the things that people say you should have if you want a luxury life or success. And it's not until I had everything did I realize I was more miserable than I started before. And I started having anxiety, panic attack, depression, because you have those feelings when your reality is so far from your expectation that there's a huge gap and the huge void. And so I just noticed when that happened to me, I noticed this theme between my grandparents, that side of the family, and then also my clients at the time who were multimillionaires and billionaires. And then the feeling of myself of knowing, why are these people all so successful on the outside? And they're the most miserable people I've ever met in my life. And that's when I realized success without inner fulfillment is just failure, because it's like a hungry ghost. You're chasing after these KPIs that is, once you hit that mark, it's like, what's after? There's no inner fulfillment. There's no impact that you're making. It doesn't make you feel happy on the long term. It's just instant gratification. So now that's why modern luxury exists, because I realized, luxury is a feeling. It's not a thing. And it's whatever that makes you feel good, even if the world was blind, if the world was not looking at you, because a lot of times we do things due to validation or other people's approval, not because we really truly love it.
Yeah, everything changed for me when I didn't give a shit about what people think anymore. Like, I really
Yeah.
don't care. Like, I just went through this thing. I'll share with you because I'm transparent with everybody. My audience and community knows that I'm sharing the journey that I'm on because I
Mm-hmm.
want them to see everything it takes to get to where, because I already know where I'm going. I'm
Mm-hmm.
so certain of it. And but I wanted to share this. So just recently, I have a coach. His name's Richie, and we're talking. And I usually wear a hat. I don't know if you know that or not, but like I
Yes.
have hats here, and I wear them backwards or
Yeah.
whatever for. And just recently, he said we did a brand audit, and he works with some big names and companies as well. He's like, dude, for where you want to go and your targets, like the backwards hat just doesn't, and the hat doesn't, it just doesn't. It's I'm feeling like you need to go, and you got a nice round head anyway. But he said you just need to kind of you got to kind of like remove the obstacles that
Mm.
possibly companies or people could have to explain to their surroundings or people. And I'm like, you know what, you're right. So I'd already started taking pictures subconsciously without the hat. And so I
Mm.
just started using that just as soon as he said that. It was 2 days ago, I think, or yesterday, maybe. And I
Mm.
just started like my content's all shifting now. I still have some hat pictures or what have you, but I'm
Mm.
just going to roll with it. And he also said, like, I'm not sure if you are doing that because you're going to accomplish things anyway. And you're like, fuck you. I don't care what you think. I can do it with the hat on. I'll show you.
Yeah.
But he's like, that's great. And if you can achieve it, but you're just causing yourself a more difficult road.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that. And so I don't even remember why I started telling you that. Oh, because we don't care what people think. Like,
Right.
and I think this is a comfort thing. When I
It,
started thinning out up here, I just shaved my head in 2011. And
mm,
maybe it's a comfort. I don't know. But
yeah.
no, I love that. And things change when you don't really give a shit what people think. So that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's so true because now you know that because a lot of times you think about it, you care so much about what other people say, and those people don't even pay your bills, right? Because like when I was going through my PhD program, it was like the next thing to do, and everyone was expecting it, and it was almost like me doing it for the expectation, and two, to prove something, and then three, to make other people happy. But these people that I'm trying to make happy aren't even going to pay my student loan. So it's like, what's the point if they're not even paying your bills? Why are you trying so hard to make these people happy? Where it's like, I was talking to someone yesterday in an interview, and like people post things on LinkedIn because there's always, accomplishment. They'll never post just like, how am I doing? Or why am I happy? It's always an accomplishment. And then people like it. And within that, after that second, people don't even remember it anymore. After all those hard work that you worked so hard for just for that post, people don't even remember after. So like, why are we always chasing for other people's happiness but not our own?
Yeah. I mean, how many times have you achieved something and told somebody in person, like even somebody closest to you, and the
Yeah.
reaction is not what you think it would be and not what
Yeah,
you're
and it's not
expecting?
gratifying. Yeah, it's not. It's like, oh, well, that was it. Like I worked 12 years for this moment, and I was
Yeah.
thinking someone, like things are gonna fall into the sky, and this whole dramatic theme that you have in your head, but it's not because people have their issues, they have their lives to deal with.
Yeah. It's even some of the people that's closest to you. Like even
Mm-hmm.
my mom, for example, like, I don't, she says she's proud, this and that, but like, it's not like what I would think for some reason. So then I stop, you know what? I'm just going to not, I don't need to tell anybody anything. I'm just going to do it. And then they can see it when they want to and whatever.
Yeah.
And also the people that are cheering you on and reacting the way you want to, that's who you surround yourself with. You keep surrounding yourself with those people, you build a community up of people that are pushing you. And then they'll say, yeah, that's great. But then what? What's next?
Yeah.
Like, expand your capacity, play a bigger game. That's
Yeah.
who I want around me. So
And you get to enjoy life more when you're living it for yourself because you're not looking, well, one, you're not looking for external gratification, but two, you're more so taking care of your inner health, which is so important. Like, what's the point of having all these success when you don't have the health to enjoy it? Because at the time when I was chasing after what I thought was luxury, I sacrificed my health, my mental health, my physical health, just to get to the point where, it makes other people think that I'm successful, but I wasn't happy at all. So you live a life where, after that, that's when I realized I was like, it's okay if I do it on my own terms and I'm in my own timing. I don't have to rush everything because what's the point? Right. Because
yeah.
a lot of us entrepreneurs do that where they just sacrifice their health and their sleep and everything to obtain something. And then once they have it, they don't even have the health to enjoy it.
Yeah. You got to set yourself some non-negotiables, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
set them, and then they're non-negotiables for a reason, and don't negotiate with yourself. Don't create a story that talks you out of it. Like all that
Yeah.
stuff. Do it with your non-negotiables in place. Right. I love that. And what did you notice with some of the people that you were super successful or wealthy that were happy? Like, I think you noticed that with Grant.
Yeah. It's
But like
just
some other people, like what did you notice the difference?
yeah, they're just in a whole different level of ball game. Like you can't, it's like untouchable. At that point where you don't care about what anybody say, you're really untouchable. You're in your own lane, your own route. It's like you're on your own Autobahn because you're now very tunnel vision. When you care about what other people say, you're like, oh, I should do that. I should do that because it's trending. I should pick that up because that's what everyone wants. When you're very tunnel vision, I just find that people are way happier. They surround themselves with better people. They have a better mental health, physical health, like all around. They're so much happier and they don't care. It's okay if someone doesn't know. But because you're happy, it's like, that's all that matters.
Yep. I love it. All right. Before we get into what you do, what are two questions, combo question here. What is the biggest challenge you're dealing with that keeps you up at night? And what are you most excited about the future that keeps you up at night?
Oh, okay. That's
And look, get vulnerable because it's okay.
Yeah.
It's a safe space.
Yeah. This obstacle, and it's funny because the answer is the same. It's scalability right now for me. My business, I stopped my PhD in the beginning of pandemic, and I was doing mindset coaching, and I was certified in coaching and mindset coaching and all of that. And then that's when I stopped. I was like, either one, I can pursue my PhD online, which I'm not getting the full benefit, and I'm paying for, half of the education that I'd be getting. Or I can chase after something and give myself a chance to see if this is something that I can do on my own. And as soon as I created a brand, and knowing exactly what my vision is, where I want to take it, it just expanded so quickly, and so many people wanted to get involved. And now it's just like, okay, how can I make this scalable? It's something that keeps me up at night. And then also something that's really exciting, because it's like, if I can make this scalable, could change a lot of people's lives. Because my goal, again, like the intro that you were giving earlier, it's filling the online space with more impactful content, with more educational content, with more people like you who are helping other people change their lives, and not just like, oh, this is where I got my shoes and my car, and this is where you can get it, less superficial content, but more impactful content.
Yeah. I love it. I got a possible answer for you on how to scale that. Well, again, we could just talk about it here because it's open. We don't have to do it offline. But I was doing coaching group, personal. I have another business that I run that does very well. But I was doing that stuff as well. And I ran into my partner that's in the tech, Jared Yellen. I don't know if you met him or not yet. Mm-hmm. And he's like, dude, why are you doing that? Like, you can still achieve what you're doing, but on such a bigger scale and faster. Mm-hmm. And you need tech in your life. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he explained to me what he's doing and what he did. He went the same journey where he had an agency, a marketing agency, and it was, high touch and mm-hmm. Big price tags and all that. And then he switched his mind frame and paradigm to democratize the marketing for all businesses so they can all afford it and just scale it and mm-hmm. have the same impact, but more people, so I want to challenge you to think about like how tech could be involved possibly with what you do. Because I have an idea.
Kind of working on right now too, creating a passive course and having a lot more system and automation in place. But it just gives me anxiety because, how my whole business is very high end, high touched and very tailored. And I always have hard time delegating things and letting things go. And I think that's one of my biggest obstacle is like, my name is on the line. If I let other people do it, is this going to sacrifice our reputation and our quality of work? But like you're saying, tech has helped us so much in terms of automating a lot of the processes. And it allows us to also reach more people and help more people too.
Yeah. And you got to think, like, you're just talking about all these brands earlier, right? And all those brands, the founder of those brands, imagine if they just stopped because they were afraid that their name matters, but they couldn't let go of the reins, right? They wouldn't be who they are today. So, you know what I mean? Like, we have to look at that as a model for us and mimic it and then master it because they did it. And then we're smart enough. Like, the way I look at it too, when I see somebody like that, that's like huge $1 billion brand, I'm like, they did it. I know we can do it. Like, it's just a matter of committing to it and going after it. Right.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, I think you have so much value and I want to do anything I can to help and elevate and support you.
Thank you.
And that's why I have this show. It's like my mission in life is all people are unstoppable to live in life of their dreams. I filter everything through that mission, and this show's part of that. So when I bring a guest on, that's what's going through my mind. So definitely want to offer that to you in any way I possibly can, let you know I'm here to support you. So
thank you.
What exactly do you do in your business? Just share with the audience, like on a day-to-day basis, and what services you offer.
Yeah. So I started out as a brand strategist. So it's something that I did before when I was in New York. And also with my background in business and clinical psychology, it just allows me to combine art, business, and psychology on one. And I help entrepreneurs to create a personal brand that's not just profitable, but also very impactful for other people and creating a lifestyle, a business around their lifestyle, because a lot of people that I work with, they have a lot of successful businesses or they've done an exit recently. And now they're just kind of finding themselves, right? Because you're in that business, whether it's beauty or car industry, whatever it is, for so long. Now that you are out of that or you're in a founder's role and less of a CEO, it's really hard to define what it is that you want to do because you've gone through so much. And so many entrepreneurs discount themselves because they only talk about business and all these accomplishments, but they're not telling people the obstacles and the hardship that they've gone through to even start that business, and the times where you almost went bankrupt in your business and how did you overcome that, you know? And that's why we're so attracted to people like Grant, because he shares his vulnerability so much. And we need more people like that, because we always see online where they show off as entrepreneurs, a laptop lifestyle. You don't even have to do work. You're just laying by the pool. But as an entrepreneur, you know, that's not realistic. Like maybe, you know, there's times that you can do that, but that's not your day-to-day life. If you still go through a lot of problems, and a lot of problems are things that aren't talked about. So that's how I started the business. And then a lot of people just want to contribute into it. And then we just grew into a team of not just branding, but also, you know, doing PR, helping them. Now that we have a brand for you, we have a substance and an idea of where you want to go. How can we accelerate it as fast as possible and actually expand it so that we can help as many people as we can?
And so is this mainly one-on-one, or do you do group? Or I think you have master classes, don't you?
So that's kind of the system that I'm working towards. So now that I know this whole process works for like one-on-one high level entrepreneurs, now a lot of people who are scaling cannot afford that service because does start at 5 figures. But that's why I started the masterclass, because I want people to, one, learn about it, even if they can't afford it or they just want to consume some content to get them brainstorming. And then two, it funnels into a 3-day intensive where I actually teach them. I don't do it for them, but I teach them how to do it on their own. And that's something that's going to turn into a passive course, like we were saying earlier, so that more people can afford it, and even if beginners can have a good brand to start.
Yeah. So I know courses have their place. And so this next question has to do with what I've put out, which is Blueprinted. And Blueprinted is basically the difference between watching the Food Network and watching a celebrity chef prepare this gourmet meal, and then you run into the kitchen and trying to do it, right? Versus somebody giving you the list of ingredients and the actual granular steps to follow or tasks to follow, and you don't move to the next milestone until you complete those tasks. That's what Blueprinted is. And so with that being the case,
literally a blueprint.
Yeah, like what is the first 1 to maybe 3 steps someone should take when they're evaluating or auditing their brand?
Yeah. So the first 3 step is just the way I do it. It's also very different. So a lot of it I contribute into like your mental health, or your, treat yourself like a luxury brand, which one of our go-to slogan. So because the reason why is because if you don't know if you don't understand how to treat yourself like a good high-end brand, no one's going to respect you. And a lot of people, we start to personal brand, we just kind of do like the spaghetti strategy where we throw things at the wall and see what sticks. So the first thing we look at is where are you currently at? Where do you want to be? How do you see yourself, like your ideal self? And what is the gap that's missing? And how can you elevate other people by telling your story in an impactful way too? Because a lot of people tell their story, it's either a very sob story or it just gets very long and boring and there's pointless, even though it's very meaningful for them. It's telling that story in an impactful way where it relates to other people and other people can benefit from it. And then the third thing is just looking at your audience, know them more than you know that they know themselves, so that you know exactly how to connect with them on an emotional level. Because if you can elevate and bypass all the logical brain and, basically having them compare you to other people, it's through emotion. And Les Brown always says, people buy into stories, not information. So how can you understand what their inner core desires are and what their fears are and what their obstacles, and really understand your target audience really, really well?
Love it. I love it. The assessment of where you are is so often skipped, and you have no idea how far you have to go to where you want to go because you're not paying attention to the assessment of where you are now. I
People
love
don't
that.
want to look at it either, right? Because who wants to audit themselves and say, "Oh, this part of my life is really crappy. This is not doing well." And it's like we have assessments and reviews at work. Why don't we have self-assessments? Because if you don't put yourself first, who's going to do it? And no one wants a discounted version of yourself either. When you put yourself out there, you don't even know what you want. How are you going to inspire other people to chase what they want?
Yeah, growth happens in the areas that you have hidden or fortified. when you
Mhm.
open them up, right? Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And you just gave me an idea too. All blueprints, as I'm bringing my creators in here, which I'll talk
Mhm.
to you later about, but as I'm bringing creators into Blueprinted, they should start all of them with where's your mind at, where should it be before you start this blueprint.
Yep.
That's phenomenal. I did that with mine, the one I built, but I gotta
Yeah.
start
Yeah.
like adding that
Everyone
in.
that starts my program, they're just like, this is really hard. Like, I was not expecting this. I just thought I was going to get a logo, maybe like what my brand message is going to be like. Like, I was never expecting to do evaluation on myself. And I'm like, no, you kind of have to slap yourself in the face and give yourself a little lecture before you get real. Because if you can't get real and vulnerable and raw with yourself, you're not going to have a successful brand, because no one wants another brand that's just going to show off and talk about all the good stuff, but not the negativity that goes behind it.
Yeah, love it. All right, final questions here. Final questions. What is your favorite Clubhouse room to hang out in or go to?
Oh my God. I actually don't even go to any rooms anymore
Bull
because
crap. I've seen you in a couple recently. Don't lie. Not even your rooms. I've
I
seen
go
you in a
in to
couple.
support my friends who are the hosts of the room. But other than my own room, I try to stay very focused, because I notice Clubhouse kind of, I don't know if you notice, I took like a 2 months off too, because I noticed Clubhouse went from like a very impactful space to, like we go in and learn and take notes and actually give and value, to a place where it's just like, what's controversial right now? What is happening right now? It's like a news channel. It makes me feel like I'm on like a news channel. So I
Yeah.
kind of stay
Yeah.
off of Clubhouse a lot.
Okay. And then second question and last question. Besides C-Roc, who's your favorite person on Clubhouse?
Who's my favorite person on
Like when you
Clubhouse?
go into Clubhouse, like I follow Grant because I want to learn and I just want to be around, like mentored by him, right? And he's my business partner, so I better. But like that's the first name I see, like I look for, because I'm going to go in there. So when you go to Clubhouse and you go to the hallway, there's always a name. There's got to be somebody. Like I said, and besides Grant, besides C-Roc, I'm putting myself up there already. Anyway.
I would say Nelson, because he was my friend before he started those rooms, and I tell him I don't necessarily support your rooms, but I support you as a person, and I just really admire the unfiltered, right, of how he presents himself, and he doesn't care whether you're a celebrity or not. Everyone gets a chance, and he's very inclusive. So when he has a room, I really appreciate the style of how he runs the room, not necessarily the topic itself, but how he just show up very unfiltered. Because how many people that we know started really structuring the room, started having, whether segments or, and it becomes like a whole corporate system. But his is like, this is what we're going to talk about. This is what's on my mind. And there's no structure or systems. And that's what I love about it. It's very raw.
Yeah. It's like one mic, mute your mic, one mic, mute your mic.
Right. There's no like curation. Like, it's just like, here we go. This is what it is. What it is. We're going to start screaming. You're going to sit through it, whatever.
And then Jonathan comes in and this room's unbalanced. It's unbalanced. Yeah. So I love
no
that.
like back chat of like, oh, don't do that, or like, that's not we're not gonna start doing the XYZ. He's like, no, we're just gonna be ourselves. If you don't like it, you don't have to stay.
Respectfully. I love it. Well, look, Jaylissa, I appreciate you coming here, man, and sharing and getting vulnerable. And if you guys have any interest at all in making sure that your brand's on point, get up with Jaylissa Lea. What is the best way for them to reach out to you, engage with you?
Yeah, I'm very active on Instagram, replying to my DMs. That's the best way. If you want to look me up, or if you want to apply to work with me, it's jaylissa.com.
All right, make it happen, guys. Thank you so much for coming. You've been listening to the What Are You Made Of podcast with your boy, the unstoppable Mike C-Roc. And as you heard the story from Jaylissa, she also fits the bill as being unstoppable. Keep coming back. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel. And everywhere you hear the What Are You Made Of favorite podcast platform, use it, and look out for Blueprinted, BLOO printed.com/VIP. Go check it out. Till next time, be unstoppable.